Hey crew, this is Lionheart here with another down and dirty sword review. Today I'm going to be doing the Museum Collection Anduril from United Cutlery. They were talking about releasing this thing, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and it's been on back order for the last year or so, and finally the different distributors have caught up on all the back orders they had, and I was able to finally pick one up. I didn't want to get it on back order because I wanted to first see what people said about it at least a little bit before picking it up. Now hearing decent stuff and having it in stock, I thought I would pick it up. So here it is. It retails for about $5.50, depending where you get it, or if they're having a coupon code or something, you might be able to get it a little cheaper. But I picked it up for $5.50. I got it from Castle Kon. I like supporting them because it's a real small company. I believe they're based out of Florida these days, but real nice guys there, and they do it just for their passion of Lord of the Rings stuff. They don't really do it to make money, which is awesome. So they really try to help people out as much as possible whenever possible. So Castle Kon for the win for sure. So I got a bunch of different swords here. I figured I'd just put the other ones out there for some props, and I can mention them quickly, but mostly we're focusing on the United Cutlery Museum Collection Anduril. So that's this first one here. I am going to be touching the blade and stuff, so hopefully people are freaking out when I touch a high carbon blade, but I'll clean them later, don't worry. So overall this thing's 53 inches, and man, I was trying to figure out what angle I could use to get the whole thing in. It was impossible with lighting especially, so we'll do the best we can here. So overall, it's 53 inches long. This thing is a behemoth. Here, I'll just give you a little overview first. 53 inches. It's got a roughly 40 and a half blade. It might be like 40 and a quarter. This thing is a beast. It's somewhere around, I couldn't easily find the exact weight. It's somewhere around 5 pounds, might be 5.5, something around there. So it's heavy. Definite beast compared to, just as a quick weight reference, compared to like the Dark Sword version. Let's see, there we go. Dark Sword's actually lighter somehow. Dark Sword's known for being heavy, but Dark Sword's a little heavier, a little lighter in this situation, ironically. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. So the blade material, this thing is high carbon steel blade. That's pretty awesome. Their museum collection, they try to make them as nice as they possibly can, as close to the movie replicas as they possibly can, or movie props anyway. So they chose to put a high carbon blade on this. It's something they do as part of that museum collection line. They did it in the past with Glamdring, they did Sting, they did Samwise sword. Ironically, Samwise sword did not have a high carbon blade for some reason, but their Sting did and Glamdring did. So it's got the high carbon blade. This one's got a hollow grind to it, which is one of the things I was most excited. Yeah, you could see it pretty well there. How you see all these different kind of levels. That's the hollow grind. Let's see if I can turn it a little bit better and see it. Yeah, not bad. So these bevels are actually concave, and of course the fuller is, but the bevels are actually concave as well. They go in. So that's the hollow grind. It's difficult to do. You don't see it on many swords at all. Certainly not a glorified wall hanger is what I'll be calling it. So let's see. Next here, let's see. The grip material. Grip is leather, so that's cool. Real leather on there. The hilt itself is pretty solid steel. It's not a cheap zinc. This is definitely a quite solid steel. I would say a functional steel, really. And on that, moving on to stuff like the pommel. How is it attached? This thing, unfortunately, even though it's got that full high carbon, not full, but high carbon blade, it doesn't have a full tang going in here, meaning somewhere in here there's a rat tail construction with a little piece welded on, and that is threaded into the pommel. So why they did that, I'm not sure, because it's really not that much harder at that point to just make this thing one solid tang going all the way in and thread it into the pommel. Of course, that's not the ideal setup for a fully functional sword, but it can be done, and it can be done and made strong enough. So not a huge deal. Or there's other pommel attachment methods they could have used. But this rat tail is a bummer. But again, they don't advertise this thing as functional. They advertise it as high carbon blade, but otherwise it is not intended to be functional. So can't complain too much about that. But yeah, solid hilt parts, very solid with the leather wrapped grip. Really nice. Got nice runes there, really well done. Reading a lot about that they got the runes better than ever on both sides, really good. Runes on the blade, same thing, they're good. I will say, I can mention it now. One thing is, after these first 3 words here, 1, 2, 3, right here, it is significantly not as deeply engraved. Hard to see because the thing's so shiny. Well, you can kind of see, yeah, right here, these are really deep, and then you move over and you can barely see these. So I don't know if that was purposely done. I haven't found anything on that yet. And it actually looks like it gets a little deeper as you move down the blade again, but especially this middle section is not very deep. So that's interesting. On mine, you've got one of these symbols here is actually under the guard a little bit at the end there. Not a huge deal, but it's the only one. The other 3 are all next to the guard, as they should be. So distal taper. So distal taper refers to the thickness of the blade at the base compared to all the way down at the tip. On a proper actual functional sword, you want it thicker right by the guard, and then it should gradually get thinner all the way out to the tip. Now again, this blade is not functional, so it doesn't really have to have distal taper. They didn't make this thing to be wielded and hold up in battle. But this thing has 0 distal taper. So if you were trying to judge it against functional designs, you'd see that this thing will handle very poorly because of that. It makes for a bit of a floppy blade. Let's see if you can, once you stop hitting it, it keeps wobbling for a while. It's a bit floppy. And because of that, the stiffness, when you go to bend it, it's not very stiff. I mean, I've seen a lot floppier blades, but it's not that stiff. So I always give my swords, or every sword I'm reviewing, a flexibility stiffness rating. This one I'm giving, out of 1 to 10, basically, 1 being the most floppy thing you've ever seen, 10 being basically a sword version of a crowbar. I'm giving this one about a 6. So it could be a lot more flexible in a bad way. It's not that bad. But I would like to see this blade stiffer. But that's definitely tough. The length they decided to go with for this thing, which honestly I'm not quite sure why they did make it quite so long. I know they're probably just trying to be accurate, movie accurate. But to have such a long blade, if you were trying to make this functional, you would have had to have that distal taper, and it would have needed to be much thicker down here by the guard and thin out. So for this thing to be this long with proper distal taper, this thing would be another pound or 2 heavier than it already is. So it is not a realistic length for a sword like this. You really need, honestly, I think it should be about 10 inches or so shorter to then be able to bring in the proper distal taper and keep it still at a reasonable weight. So if this is the exact correct length for the movie, cool. I'd prefer a little shorter and with the distal taper. But again, I come from a functional sword background. This is one of 2 not functional swords I have, and 20 to 30, very real, very solid functional swords. So I'm a little harsh on the judging with that. It's just the background I come from, the collection I come from. So, but for a non-functional, yeah, it's pretty good. So moving on here, comparisons. Actually, let's show you the scabbard first. This does not come with it. This is the original scabbard from, I don't know, 20 years ago. What is it, almost 30 years ago? However old that is, the original. So I picked it up used quite a bunch of years ago, and I've just had it. These old ones, they were pretty good. Some of them, one of the other scabbards, they get kind of bunched up on the bottom here. The leather gets bunched up. I'll show you on the Glamdring scabbard maybe. But this one, it didn't do it to. It's in great shape. It's been locked away. even have it on display. So yeah, good scabbard. It is leather with metal accents, so pretty sweet. So comparisons, we'll bring out the Darksword Armory first. That's the Darksword Armory. It's one of the oldest ones that's been made. Other options out there. They've been doing this since almost the movie came out, probably a long time. They make it, advertise it as a fully functional sword. So that's always debatable. There's always a lot of talk about Darksword, how functional they are. I've used a fair amount of their swords, banging them against trees and stuff. I've never broken one, so I like their stuff. I think it's solid, and I can't complain. But yeah, some people have a lot of gripes about it, and there's a lot of other stuff that people bring up about them. We don't need to get into that, but this is their Anduril, and this is the original version they did. Their current version, they still make it, but their current version these are filled in. It's a little less accurate, the newer version. These are filled in, and more importantly, the pommel's filled in, so they could have a traditional full tang going all the way through the pommel and peening it on the back. So that's the newest version. This previous one, they said they hot peened the tang in here inside the hilt, inside the guard. When I asked them about that, they floundered a little bit, but whatever. However they're attaching it, it seems to be solid. It is definitely a solid tang in there. Whether they hot peened it inside the tang or if they threaded it, which is more likely thread or glue. It's solid. It hasn't given away on me. The runes are pretty good. They're a little different than the other ones, so I don't actually know which one's more accurate. I'm assuming the new Museum Collection one's more accurate. It's just slightly different. So anyway, Darksword. It is a little lighter. It's lighter and it's functional. I think this is. Let's see if I compare them together. This is at more realistic length than I think. Let's see if we can see that. I'm holding the guards together here, and it's maybe 6 inches, 8 inches different. Yeah, about that. So, Darksword, much better, more wieldable strength, length, and they have the distal taper on this guy, so it handles much better. So, kudos to Darksword for doing a good job with that one. Other options that are out there that are available, Ronin Katana actually has a functional version right now. The biggest difference with that one, the pommel has screws holding it together, as is common with some of the kind of tactical line. The Honshu tactical line has the kind of hilt, the handle being held together with rivets or screws, and that's how Ronin Katana is doing theirs. It's also extremely heavy. It's another pound or so more than this guy. It's a beast. Ryansword had one. I noticed just the other day it disappeared from their site. I contacted them about it, and they said it'll be back soon. They're doing some revisions and it'll be back. So that's cool. So you can look at check them out by Ryansword or Swordier. Actually, I didn't get into that one yet. Ronin Katana or Ryansword. And then, Swordier also is working on one. They had it on that SBG Sword Buyer's Guide website on their the page where you can buy swords from them. They're kind of revising the design, and then that one will be back too. I don't know if that's going to still be a limited edition or if they're going to have that available as many people want it. So yeah, there's a couple different options: Darksword, Ronin Katana, Ryansword, and soon Swordier. So definitely some out there. It's pretty cool because as of a couple years ago, heck, even a year ago, the only option was Darksword for a functional one, and now you've got 2 to 3 other companies printing them out. Pretty sweet. So what overall score do I give this guy? I always give an overall score to every sword I review. That's tough because, again, coming from a functional background, I'm more critical on scoring. So I tried to be a little unbiased about this, try and not look at it, not judge it, and not give it a bad rap because it's not functional. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 overall for what it is. And why I'm giving it only a 7 out of 10, well, we'll talk about the good things first. The hollow grind, giving it mad points for that. So that's very unusual. for a wall hanger to have, even functional swords. Not many people are putting hollow grinds on the blade, so that's definitely a plus for this guy. The hilt is nice. Yeah, it's really well done. The solid steel hilt is really, really nice, both guard and pommel. You can't I wouldn't change anything about them. They're gorgeous, beautiful, especially the junction down here. This transition, it's really well done. It looks really good. Looks very, very real. And the blade gap, as we refer to this as the blade gap, how tight the guard is to the blade. And this has literally a non-existent blade gap, which is very hard, almost never seen. So kudos to United Cutlery for doing that, for sure. Yeah, so that's all the pluses about this. The minuses, I will take away for distal taper, because even though it is a wall hanger, they still could have had distal taper on this. It wouldn't have been hard to do. Maybe they didn't bother because, again, it's not designed to be handled, swung around and hit stuff at all. So why put all that effort into it? And it would have been heavier, so that's all right. But yeah, no distal taper. And because of that, the blade is floppy. I showed you that. Yeah, blade's a bit floppy without having that distal taper. So not the end of the world. I already talked about that the rune etching is a bit uneven, how it's deeper here and then it gets thin and then it seems to maybe get deeper again. So yeah, they probably should have done that. I don't know if that's just this sword that I got or if they're all like that. No biggie though, still looks great. And then last thing I said is I think it's too long to be realistic at all for, again, the weight. I touched on it before. If you were gonna really fight with this, I mean, you could do it if you put the proper distal taper in this with this length. It's not out of the realm for a two-handed sword. Not a long sword, but a proper two-handed sword. It could work. And if that's what it's supposed to be, okay, then it's fine. Add that distal taper and we're good to go. For me, I think, yeah, knock 8-10 inches off this thing, give it the proper distal taper. It would be a similar weight to what it is now with distal taper. Then you have a very functional long sword or a shorter two-handed sword that you could really use in battle and still have some substantial length to it. So that's it. Then I always conclude with, let's see, it is a limited. Well, it's not limited, but they still number them. So I've got number 862 here. Let's see if I can get this thing to focus. There we go. So that's cool. They're still numbered. It's a museum collection. That's what you look for if you're seeing them used on eBay or anything. Make sure it's got all that on there. So yeah, is it worth it? $550 for this beast. I think I had it shipped for $550. I think if you have to have it because you are a Lord of the Rings sword collector, armor collector, and you really thrive on having to have all the official stuff, then yeah, it's probably worth it. You probably need it and pick it up. If you just like Lord of the Rings stuff and you don't necessarily need all the official United Cutlery stuff, I might probably push you towards one of the usable versions that a couple of which are cheaper. So you can get a usable version, more wieldable, that's cheaper, or you can buy this heavier, bigger, more expensive version that's not usable. If you don't care about it being usable, then yeah, maybe pick this one up. It is gorgeous. That hollow grind on the blade is beautiful. The hilt is beautiful. All the inscriptions are perfect how they should be. So it's not bad. I just don't pick it up thinking you're going to be wielding it around, and know that there are at least three, potentially four other options out there if you want a wieldable, actually usable sword, Anduril. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Great sword. Pretty cool. Am I going to keep it? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I keep it or not. I'm not sure yet. So I'll show you quickly some of these other ones while we're on United Cutlery and Museum Collection. This is the famous Museum Collection Glamdring. It's like the holy grail of collector swords as far as I see it, until you get to like the actual made by Peter Lyon Weta swords. Those would be more highly sought after, but this guy, highly sought after. So I've got number 736. This one was part of that limited edition batch. They only made 1,000 of them. There we go. 736. Beautiful. Like, another thing, that's what you look for this if you're trying to get yourself one of these on eBay or whatever. Make sure you see a picture of that guard so you know it's the real deal. The inscription by the guard. Yeah, it's good. It's silver plated, and it's pretty cool. It's interesting that they chose not to age the Anduril, and I know I've read discussions on that. They didn't want to. They wanted this to be Anduril and not Narsil. If that's how you pronounce it correctly. So Narsil would have been older, more beat up, and this one being reforged, redone, they wanted to leave it nice and shiny. So that's kind of cool. But I like that on Glamdring they had it. They went with the aged look on there. This blade actually has a very slight hollow ground. Back then, United Cutlery didn't really have the ability yet to do really good hollow grinds. So they probably would have gone deeper if they could have. Now on Anduril they did. But yep, the Museum Collection Glamdring and its scabbard. This is that one that had that. The older ones tend to bunch up down at the bottom. No big deal. I could pull this metal off and cinch the leather down, cover it up again. That would be fine. But yeah, otherwise, it's cool. They're good. The only last one I had to show you, I talked about it in another video. This is my Valiant Armory Ranger. It's the pride and joy of my collection right now. Valiant Armory's out of Texas. They make amazing stuff. This is their take on a Ranger sword. They just put it out about 4 months ago or so, maybe 6 months. Released it. Super fully functional. Nice peen on the pommel there. Really small guard gap, both sides, non-existent. Beautiful weight. This thing is incredible. I actually had them put a different blade on it. This is the Ansbach blade that I had put on it because it's a little stiffer. The one that comes with it normally is a little bit more flexible. I liked a really stiff blade, so I asked if they would do the Ansbach blade on there, and I'm really happy I went with it. To me, it's the correct profile to what a Ranger sword should be too. The blade that they were putting on it is, to me, not quite the right blade geometry. So I like how this one looks and handles much better. So yeah, this thing is gorgeous. That ring spacer in the middle there, and it's just so beautiful. And it's the best, most functional Ranger out there right now, available without getting one custom made. So kudos to them. And you can get it'll come with the scabbard, but you can get their deluxe version that has the utility knife and the scabbard there. Also, very real, very functional. So I paid a little extra to have the scabbard, kind of more movie accurate scabbard with that on there. Still has a nice and metal end piece there. So yeah, Valiant Armory, incredible company. I mean, altogether this one did cost I don't know, probably the scabbard modification, it might have been $1,600 or $1,800, right around there. But worth every penny with that. I have zero issues paying them that price for that. It's definitely worth that. I've got several more from them, and I actually have their Glamdring that they just released a couple months ago. I have that on order, and that'll be here any day. I'll have to do a review comparing the two Glamdrings when that comes in. Yeah, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed. There wasn't a lot out there about the Museum Collection Anduril yet, so hopefully this adds to that and shows people a little bit better look at it, and you can decide if you want to get it or not. So, thanks for watching. Until next time.